Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, folks. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Marketing You Practice podcast. The podcast where I have the pleasure of simplifying the marketing and the mindset so you can increase your income, your impact, and your enjoyment in practice too. This is part 3, the final part in our 3-part series where we're really diving deep into how do we action the very basis of what all of the marketing that I teach is built upon, and that is this idea that more people in your community who know you, like you, and trust you, the busier your practice will be. In part 1, we really dived deep into what does it take to have more people know you, and what I shared there is the importance of consistency. Consistency in 2 parts. That is you showing up often in terms of frequency as well, but also consistency in message. So not only the message you're putting out there, but the brand message, the colors, the fonts, the logos, all those kind of things. In part 2, we talked about what does it take to be liked. And inside of that too, the foundation of liking is understanding that as human beings, we tend to like people and things like us that share our values, that share our mission, that share our likes. In fact, we're quite egotistical in that type of way. And so this means that it's impossible for us to be liked by everybody because we all have different values and missions and visions for our life as well. And so what we need to decide is, who do we want to be liked by? Where is there a group that we share and we align with our values and we believe that these are people that we would want to do business with as well? And then I spent some time going into characteristics of likability there also. In today's, the 3rd part here, we're going to be talking all about trust and what does it take to actually build trust. Now here's this. I think a lack of trust is perhaps the single largest missing ingredient online, and particularly in healthcare, and sadly we as chiropractors are absolutely being impacted by a lack of trust as well. Trust is the very foundation. It's the bedrock of any relationship, and absolutely so again, as healthcare professionals, I think it's become even more vital as well. If we don't have trust from our community, if we don't have trust from our patients, if we don't have trust from the people that are following us online, then none of anything else that I have shared with you and will share with you going forwards will matter as well. Right now, as I mentioned before, I think there is an enormous trust deficit. I think a lot of this has been accelerated, particularly since COVID. It's been accelerated by the misinformation out there, sensationalized media reports, a general sense of skepticism towards, the larger institutions as well. And again, chiropractic is absolutely not immune to this. The internet has done 2 things. It's allowed us, it's done many things, but in the context of this, it's allowed us to spread a message and share a message in a way that was impossible beforehand. But as well as it being able to share a message, the other thing that it's also allowed to do is it also has allowed the sharing of misinformation. And hence the development of this, I think the lens through which most of us view the world now, not just online, but literally the world and certainly advertising, is through a lens of distrust as well. Now the stakes with this, as I mentioned before, if we don't get this right, then your practice is going to suffer. And when we lose the trust of our community, it certainly can be rebuilt. There's no doubt about that. There are plenty of examples of celebrities and businesses that have broken the trust that have been able to rebuild it. But it takes a lot more effort for us to rebuild trust after it's lost. So I want you to understand that the stakes with this are incredibly high as well, okay? I want to share with you 9 elements that will help to elevate trust. And there's lots of overlap with these elements that also help to build a certain level of likingness as also. And you'll see that there is a blend between many of them. And what I want you to think about as you're going through this is I want you to find the points that you should start. For some of you, there'll be obvious spots that, right, this is a weakness of mine, this is where I want to build upon, or here's a strength that I want to really double down on too, okay? I want to start with this. Here's the first one, and I think these are not in order other than I think this first one here is perhaps the most important, and that is that intent matters. I think we have developed a really very sophisticated bullshit radar that we can sense a level of lack of trust in people. I think this has always been around, but I think it's become a lot more sophisticated. And although we might not be able to articulate why we don't trust somebody, we can pick it up on things like body language, what they're saying, are they over-promising you? There's something about this person that we just lack trust. And so with this, I want you to think about, like, what is the purpose, even if we're just looking at social media? Like, why are you on there? And if the primary reason that you're on there is just to increase your bank account, I think you're going to really struggle, particularly in today's business landscape. The community is looking for more than that. They're very happy for businesses to be profitable and for them to make enormous amounts of money if they're built upon some kind of intent that's more than that. It's time now for businesses to share their purpose and their values, to really articulate what is the clear purpose, what are you trying to do, why are you on social media, why are you sharing this content. This is where we can tell people, again, there's a real growing in the number of kids that are on the spectrum. It's growing each and every year. Our practice exists to help to solve this problem for parents. We're committed to making a difference in these kids' lives and their families also. It could be sharing something that, 80% of people in the Western world are suffering from musculoskeletal, particularly back pain. And back pain is not just about back pain. It becomes an emotional issue. It affects relationships. It affects how people show up at work. Every part of it in our practice is committed to being a solution for this. We get to share our mission and our vision. And this then is the foundation, or one of the foundations of our social media, of our website, of everything that we share in terms of community talks also. When we share the intent behind why we're marketing, it makes a real difference as well. This also allows us to build a community. Now, interestingly enough, I read a survey recently that was asking people, look, when you're looking to choose a business to do business with, how important is the mission and the vision, the intent of the business? And incredibly important was the answer, that people are looking to do business with businesses that have a mission and a vision that's beyond themselves, to make a difference. And we as chiropractors make a difference, but we need to make sure that is our intent, and we need to commit to it as well. In each of these 9 elements, I'm going to give you some examples so you can see how this plays out with different groups. When I think about the importance of intent, I think about Tom's Shoes. They built this brand around the mission of providing shoes to impoverished children. For every pair of shoes that was sold, they were donating another pair of shoes to an impoverished child there as well. There was a mission, there was a vision, there were values that we could jump behind as consumers to do this. Most of us really love this, and it built a real relationship, and it built a real trust in around this brand. Now, we should be, and as I mentioned before, could be doing this as well. I gave a couple of examples of how we could be sharing the vision, mission, and intent of our practice also. So again, think about it. What is the intent? Like, why are you on social media anyway? And if it is just to get more new patients, that may well be one of the reasons, or that you might be struggling with it as well. Let's jump into number 2 here, the second element that will help to elevate trust. And this is transparency and honesty. Now, I know it seems kind of obvious here as well, but let's look at what this might look like. How do we show transparency and honesty? This, I think, begins with setting realistic expectations. I think it's important for us to not oversell our services. It's letting our community members know what they can expect. Now, this is a challenge because on one hand, we want to portray this confidence and certainty because that's very attractive to our community also, and it helps to really build hope. But on the other side of things, we also want to not overpromise. Now, this is something that I worked really hard with my patients, and they would often, when they were referring people in, one of the things that was often said was, John told me to come and see me or see you, Angus, because he said that you'd let me know whether or not you could help or not, that you would tell me, you would give me some honest feedback. And I would hear this all the time, and it would be something that I would say to my patients. Now, can chiropractic and should chiropractic be a part of everybody's lives? I believe so. But I'm also letting and willing to let people know where I believe chiropractic fits in. If I have somebody come into the practice that has a number of lifestyle habits that are, counterproductive to them getting well, I want to let them know that there might be a limitation to how much chiropractic can have, what sort of results it can have. I want to be realistic in terms of time frames. I want to go out of my way to under-promise and over-deliver. I want to make sure that I'm being as transparent and honest as possible. And this meant often in my practice that I would often tell people, listen, I don't think I'm the right chiropractor for you, or I don't think I can help you. Maybe here's another chiropractor. When we realize that we don't have to be the solution for everybody, it's actually quite amazing at how attractive it makes you be, okay? So we do this by addressing limitations. We do this by acknowledging our mistakes. And again, we can do this online, we can do this in person, and should be doing this in person with our patients. There should be really open communication. Again, online we could be hosting Q&A sessions, we could be sharing behind the scenes content, we could be discussing common misconceptions. These are all things that will help to elevate transparency and honesty. And again, they are foundational for building long-term relationships, okay? So when I was looking for examples for this, I was reminded of a fabulous example. So Patagonia, the outdoor clothing company, back in 2011 ran an ad campaign saying, don't buy this jacket, okay? Urging the consumers not to buy one of their most popular jackets. Now, they went on to say, don't buy it because we want you to see the environmental cost of buying this jacket, that every time you bought one, these materials had to come from here. There was shipping, there was all these kind of bits and pieces as well. So this really bold move helped to enhance transparency and honesty, and it really built the brand's reputation. So we can do this if it's, if the intent behind it is real. And again, we're going to talk about authenticity in a moment. If there's authenticity as a part of it, then don't be afraid for us to really step into transparency and honesty. In fact, what you'll find is it'll really build trust and it will bring people towards you. Number 3 here that elevates trust is consistency, okay, in frequency, brand, and message. So we talked about consistency along in the first one in terms of with people getting to know us, okay? But it also has a huge impact on people getting to build trust. So again, I give lots of examples of this, and there are many times that, in fact, just recently my sister was telling me about a corporate speaker who did a brilliant job with her team, sent me his website, I looked through it, was fabulous. And then I wanted to see some recent content. And I noticed that there hadn't been any content posted on this since 2017, 6 years ago. And I noticed and watched in myself that there was a level of trust that diminished in there. Like, how serious is this person? How up to date are they? And it was my trust that dropped down. One of the things I want to encourage you, just as a side note, is to become a watcher. When you are online and you're consuming content and you're scrolling through, watch yourself. Watch what builds trust with you and watch what diminishes trust. Watch what builds affinity as you like people. And again, watch what diminishes it. So consistency tells your community that your brand or your business is reliable. Okay, how often are you showing up on social media? How often are you showing up online? How often are you showing up both in your practice as well? So that's a regular posting schedule. That's consistent branding. That's staying true to your core message. Okay, are you flip-flopping back and forwards? One moment are you the expert on athletes, the next are you expert on migraines, and then you've decided that you're going to be the pediatric practice, and then we're all about wellness and no symptoms. These are all things that will start to diminish trust over time. It won't position you as an expert across all of those. It'll have the very opposite effect that you're wanting it to have. So consistency in frequency and in brand and message, okay? Very much, again, I spoke a lot about this right back in number 1. If we're looking for an example of this, it doesn't get a lot better than Coca-Cola. I mean, if we go back and look at what their brand was right back 100 years ago, their color, the message as well, although the language has changed a little bit, Coca-Cola has maintained a consistent branding message for decades, okay? We can learn from this, okay? To some extent, yes, we want to be putting our logo out there, our brand and our colors. We want to be sharing that. That's an element that we want to be making sure that we are maximizing as well. Let's get on to point number 4 here, one that I harp on about a lot and want to really encourage you to, and this is authenticity. This is about being genuine. This is about avoiding the manufactured persona. This is about sharing personal stories. This is about building emotional connections. Now, authenticity is one of those things that should be really easy because I'm just asking you to be you. But there's a challenge because along with this authenticity comes a level of vulnerability. When I peel back a lot of the covers there and I let you see who I am, I really risk rejection. I risk getting liked by a lot of people, but I also risk rejection. Now, the other challenge that comes along with authenticity too is that we all have people online that we really like and that we follow. And so it makes sense that to some extent that we want to mimic them. We want to be the Tony Ebel, the Brad Klawacki. We want to be someone like Lauren Brunslick and her fantastic reels that she shares there too. But again, we talked about the BS, the bullshit detector that we have when it comes to intent. We also have one for authenticity. I want to remind you that you are enough. There is an audience for everybody. Now, I see this when I look at the different styles of music, the different styles of movies that are out there, excuse me, and when I even look at, the different social influences. Now, finding your authentic voice takes time, and it certainly did for me also. There is a confidence that comes just with repetition and exploring and developing it. And so you might need to develop your authenticity as well. One of my favorite singers, one of the reasons I love her is because of her authenticity. I'm talking about Adele. So she's known not only for her beautiful vocals, but also I think what sets her apart is her authenticity. So she's openly shared her life experiences through her music, where she's gone from kind of 19 to 20 to 21, the name of her albums through there too. We've been through breakups, love. We've watched her with her challenges in her weight loss, everything. And then when we see her interviewed, we don't often see this incredibly polished person. She's got this really strong, thick, I don't know if it's a Cockney accent, but it's a really strong British accent as well. And I find that she's not trying to pretend to be some perfect rock star or some amazing singer there too. She's kind of there warts and all. And for me, that's another element that further brings me towards it and really trusts her as an artist as well. So how can you show more of you? How do we get to see authentically more of you? And can you commit to that? And whilst you might want to model different people, whether they be inside or outside of the chiropractic profession, make sure you're not doing it at the expense of authenticity as well. Now, this leads into authenticity, dovetails nicely with personal connection. Okay, so once we're being authentic, then what we really want to ramp up is personal connection. Remember, and this is a mistake that we often make with social media, it's social media. It is all about personal connection. It is all about community. Now, what I mean by personal connection really is humanizing your brand. And we're seeing this done not only by small businesses like us as chiropractors, but we're seeing this done by huge businesses, okay? The fact that we humanize a brand like Amazon with Jeff Bezos, or, if we look at Tesla and inside that Elon Musk, many of these big brands are humanizing themselves because we're getting to see the name in behind the brand. When we humanize, and one of the ways that we humanize or bring that personal connection is relatability and common ground, okay? We share, what are our common challenges, our values, our beliefs, what are the things that connect us as a community? And this goes back to why we need to actually decide who it is that we want to be liked by as well. We share a communication style that doesn't try and elevate us above them, where we're an expert talking down to people, but it puts us beside people. While we might have more information, and in many cases we do as well, we're showing up as the guide rather than an expert that's leading somebody along, okay? We want to look for opportunities to connect with people, whether it's with phone calls and messages, whether they be online or offline as well. When I think about a humanized brand and personal connection there too, then I think it's hard to look past someone like Oprah Winfrey. We have a media empire here as well that's built around her ability to connect with her audiences. Now, it's hard to find a person that doesn't love Oprah. She is an absolute master at being able to connect with us, whether it be young or old, across multiple generations there too. And some of this she has done through her authenticity, okay, but she has humanized her brand. Now, we need to be careful with this. So yes, we've gone through authenticity and we've gone through personal connection. But point number 6 here that builds trust is professionalism and expertise, okay? We're not showing up as people's friends. We want to be friendly, but not their friends. And sometimes I will see, in my opinion, my judgment, that chiropractors go overboard with this, okay? We want to make sure that we are also expressing a level of professionalism and expertise. Now, we can do this by displaying our credentials, our achievements, discussing our trainings, what seminars that we've done. If we're doing continuing education, then post about it. Let people know what you're doing as well, that you're up to date as well. balancing that personal touch with professionalism. And some of this, I think, comes back to intent as well. When I watch online and I watch chiropractors trying to humanize their brand, sometimes I can see they're doing it to get their needs met. Okay, so if they're feeling a little bit needy and they're wanting, I often see this when I see people online crying. Okay, now it's fun. That's fun. Okay, it can be powerful. I'm not sure that's fun. It can be powerful to show vulnerability and authenticity like this, and that will bring people to you. But if the intent is that I want to be vulnerable and show that me like you has these challenges, but you'll soon realize that, because what happens often with these posts, we get lots of people commenting and sharing and offering support. So you might think, oh, this is a good way for me to do this again and again and again. But if we do this, then again, this lack of authenticity, it doesn't show a professionalism. I don't want to go along to a chiropractor who's crying all the time online. I don't want to go on to see a chiropractor that's sharing all of their dirty laundry online. Another example, again, I spoke about this last week when we were talking about likability there too. What would you feel comfortable sharing to a stranger if you're sitting next to them at a wedding? We want to maintain and walk that tightrope between connection and sharing with people there too, and authenticity, but also don't overdo it. Remember, you're a chiropractor, okay? We're there, we play a very important role in helping people with their health, and that means we need to show up with a level of professionalism and expertise there too. Now, one of my favorite examples of this too is just someone like Neil deGrasse Tyson. Okay, he's an astrophysicist, and he does an amazing job of combining his expertise with an incredibly approachable persona. So he communicates complex concepts in layman's terms. This is something that we need to learn about. If we're talking about sympathetic drive and parasympathetic, the impact that has on the nervous system, the body's ability to able to heal. We're talking about efferent and afferent, and we're talking about kind of upper cervical subluxation complex. How do we take all of that language and simplify it in a way that Neil deGrasse Tyson would, that makes it exciting, brings a level of enthusiasm for it as well. So this could be someone that we try to model, bring your level of authenticity into that also, okay? So along with that, on to another 7 here too, very much along how do we go about building our expertise and professionalism. And this is providing educational content. Now, again, you're going to find, I want to touch on a couple of things here. I talk about there being 2 different sorts of content that you should be sharing. I've spoken about this a lot, but maybe this is the first episode you've ever listened. And if it is, then welcome and thank you. The 2 sorts of content that we should be sharing broadly come underneath the umbrellas of transformation content and connection content. Okay. Transformation content, the goal of that is to help your audience get one step closer to a health result they're looking for. Connection content is about building relationships, okay? Now, what you're going to notice that when you're sharing connection content, what you did on the weekend, behind the scenes of the staff, a day in the life of your CA, you're going to get lots of interactions with that, okay? The community will love it, the engagement will be great, therefore the reach will be great. But when you share educational content, maybe you make a video, say, hey, listen, in today's video, I want to share with you 3 questions that all parents should be asking themselves if they're wanting to raise a healthy drug-free family. This kind of content won't get the same engagement often, won't get the same reach, and so you might be encouraged to think, I don't need to be creating it. If we're not creating educational content, how-to content, teaching content, then we're missing one of the elements that really helps to position you as an expert and therefore build trust, okay? It allows us to provide value, it allows us to be generous, it allows us to establish authority. We want to be doing this across diverse content types, so, videos and blogs, your website, image posts. We want to make sure we diversify with that. We want to make sure that our topics remain patient-focused, okay? This is not about sharing content that you want to share. This is about sharing content that your audience wants to hear, okay? It's an important distinction there. And then do it in a way, Neil deGrasse Tyson way, where we make it simple and interesting and fascinating for our people as well. When you're putting together this sort of content, then I want you to use as a role model and example TED Talks. Okay, they share fascinating information. TED has positioned itself as an authority. There's lots of trust based in around TED. Many experts out there, authors and information experts, are doing everything they possibly can to be invited on the TED stage because of the trust that comes along with it as well. But we can create our own mini TED style talks on topics related to the nervous system and spinal health and raising healthy drug-free families, you name it, whatever your area of interest is as well. So TED is a great example of building trust through educational content. Number 8, second to last, when we want to elevate our trust, and that is engage with your audience, interact with them. Social media is a conversation. It's not a dialogue, okay? We want to make sure that we're responding to comments, and anytime we have an opportunity to go live and host Q&As, we want to respond to feedback and reviews. We want to make sure in-house what we're doing is active listening, okay? Remember the old thing, 2 ears, 1 mouth, because we should be listening for twice as long as we should be talking. We want to be going out of our way to create a dialogue. So if we've got captions that we're putting along with our posts, how do we start to engage our audience in? What are your thoughts in around? What is your experience with this? Can we turn that into a dialogue? Community engagement is the goal here as well, to build a community. When you're looking for an example for this as well, think about someone like Zappos, again, the online shoe retailer. These guys are absolutely famous for their amazing customer service. They go above and beyond. They're all about pleasing their customers. They're all about interaction. Now, how can you bring that level of interaction? Is it tiring? Is it exhausting at times? Yes. But do you want to build trust? Okay, remembering that trust is the foundation, the bedrock of a really wonderful practice as well. Okay, the 9th and final element that will help you elevate trust in your community is to leverage social proof. Now, again, in some countries around the world, this is more difficult to do in others, but testimonials and reviews are incredibly powerful in this. If you can use them, then use them, okay? Now, this might mean for some people, then it's just you really pushing your Google reviews or your Google business reviews. This is something that here in Australia is a little bit more of a grey area, okay? Certainly we can't take it down, so encouraging people to leave a review for you on Google would be something that I would be encouraging you to do. It could also be collaboration with other health professionals, okay? So when I see you working with another health professional, that's social proof that comes from you working not just in isolation, also starts to build trust. It could be you out in the community with community groups, volunteering at the local primary school, working with different sports groups. These are all different forms of social proof that regardless of where you are, even here in Australia, we could use this as social proof. Now, there are websites, enormous websites that are built on the back of this. Again, if we're looking for an example of how powerful this is, let's just look at something like TripAdvisor. Now, this popular platform just grew completely on the back of, social proof. I love TripAdvisor. Every time we're traveling, it's our go-to when we're wanting to choose, whether it be different tours or what we're going to eat, what restaurants we're going to go to as well, okay? Let's summarize those 9 different elements that'll help to elevate your trust as well. So the first was intent matters, okay? The second was all about transparency and honesty, okay? Number 3 was consistency. When we talked about consistency in terms of frequency, how often we showed up, but also in brand and message. Number 4 was all about authenticity. 5, making sure that we maximize personal connection. 6 was professionalism and expertise. Number 7 is making sure that we're sharing educational content. Number 8 was making sure we engage with our audience. And finally, we finished off with leveraging social proof. Folks, good marketing is built upon the idea that the more people in your community who know you, like you, and trust you, the busier and more effortless your practice will be. These 3 episodes through here share a lot of timeless principles that regardless of when you're listening to this, we haven't gone into, for instance, do a reel here or post a carousel or create this type of video. These are principles that I believe will be timeless, and they may well be things that I would encourage you to sit down as a team meeting and go, how do we kind of go across all of these and make sure that we leverage our practice's ability to have more people knowing us, liking us, and trusting us. Folks, that's it for the end of this series. If this has been helpful, can I ask a favor? Reach out to me, whether it be on the socials or send me an email, or maybe whether it be just via your local podcast app that you listen to. Jump into the reviews there and let me know if this has been helpful for you. As always, folks, thanks for all that you do. Keep saving lives. Your community needs you out there actively building know, like, and trust. See you back here next week. Bye. If you've enjoyed listening to this podcast, you have to come and check out my Community Influencer Program. It's my monthly coaching program where we take all this material and I'll work with you to help you apply it, implement it, and systemize it. The Community Influencer Group Coaching Program is designed to help you increase your practice income, impact, and enjoyment. Join me over at anguspyke.com/join. That's anguspyke.com/join. I'd love to see you there.